Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Excellent. Looking good. Just gonna jump right on in since this is a continuation from earlier tonight. I needed to readjust myself. I am no longer standing with my staff. I am now sitting, holding a cane, just in case my foot is acting up and starting to swell. This has happened before. Need to stay off of it. So I am. Normally I'm standing at a pub table. I prefer to stand and I'm tall. So my desk of sorts is a pub table. So I'm sitting on a bar stool. Continuing. Anywhere to go? Where are you gonna go? You got someplace? Or is it anywhere? Anywhere to go? Anywhere to go? Anywhere? I said no. That was the answer that first came to my mind. Not the only answer, but the first. The money pie. Still on that page. It's a continuation. Free4All. That's still in my mind. That's what I see money as. It's free-for-all. Anybody can have access to it. So we're told. Especially here in America. It's the dream. Right? Free-for-all. I want to jump right into ET, UFOs, this intelligence, God. It's here. It, they, all of it. All of them. You always send one at a time, right? You don't want to just imagine first contact. You're doing the making of that contact. You don't. Do you send in the fleets, the army, all of it, all the military, all your might? You know, you won. Just one. This intelligence is here. It's here right now. It's aware of you. You think that the government or the corporations, someone out to get you, knows about you. You have no idea. There's no terms of understanding where you're at that you could have with this intelligence. Any kind of discourse that would be meaningful for either parties. This intelligence I'm trying to think of the simplest term that gets it across. Point. How about a grain of sand? This intelligence not only is aware of you and me and everyone, every conscious, sentient, aware human being, their location, everything, their body readings, everything. This intelligence is aware of the position of every single grain of sand, where that pebble now lies, and where it lay 1,000 years ago. And if it wasn't a pebble yet, it knows what it was before that. Pebble. It can trace back the lineage of a grain, a pebble of sand, to before there was even anything there to become that grain, that pebble. On a beach, in a desert, every single pebble, it knows its history. Knows you, knows everything you know, everything you've ever thought, everything you've ever said, heard, did, everything you've ever imagined, wondered, aspired to become. It knows. The government. I'm going to bring the government into this because I picked up some ice cream from the store for my mother, in and out, for the ice cream, brief stop at Mom's, and the healthcare worker mentioned her thoughts, miscellaneous and questions, and she held the stance, was standing on the notion that government knows about this intelligence that I am speaking of as clear as I possibly can, and getting better, learning how to, with every tick of the clock, taking everything in. The government knows who they are, what it is, to some degree. I don't think so. They want to, and they're looking. I want to mention this. They're looking. They're watching, just like a moment ago that we're very aware of how there's a system that's been set in place upon this world, Earth, through intent. It just didn't appear. It was put there by the hands of the people, and it's watching, it's tracking, and everything about it wants to maximize the potential of all those abilities, each of those different ways to gather information and data. Know you. Everyone. They're looking. They're looking. The census. They're taking a census right now. I'm sure you've seen them. I've been thinking in my mind for the last few weeks that they just seem persistent in a way that I don't recall in the past. I hadn't said anything about it to anybody, but when I dropped off the ice cream, the healthcare worker, she mentioned it, noticing that, have you noticed that of the census, that just, the people she's around they've been talking amongst themselves and noticing it, and so I mentioned that, I have been thinking about that and noticing it. They're really looking, and I noticed that also I've been feeling like with this virus and pandemic and having to be checked and vaccinated, and there's this tracking, this looking, and it's intensifying, and like it's almost like I had been entertaining the thought that it's like they're looking for someone, or someone's. I don't know. It's just everything is so out there. I'm going to take advantage of the opportunity to get up here and share my thoughts about being out there. I think it's a lot more healthy, for me anyway, than to sit here and share a stream about all the manure that's out in the world right now, because I'm very aware of it. I have no angst against turning that button and flipping it on and giving it a whirl. I will say this, before I get any more into the UT thing, and it has to do with not being afraid of sharing your thoughts, speaking your mind. Wake up, stand up, speak up. Those words are going to be echoed in the minds, I think, when that manure is truly released. Wishing I'd only woken up, because I would have stood up like I always do. And this time, I'm gonna say something. Oh, you know what? My cane, my walking cane. Yeah. Where do I go? I wanted to mention this little rant, I guess, with people and my awareness of my surroundings and speaking up. I locked my bike up to go into the grocery store. Food Max is the name of this chain of grocery stores here. They're here in California. I don't know how far reaching they are. I know they were in other towns. Food Max for some ice cream. Locked my bike up, which was a gift. My bike was a gift to me to get around. Make it easier to get around. Never owned a car. My choice. So I locked my bike up. I think it's a decent chain. It's a combination. Lock. Anyway. Make sure it's secure and locked before you make that final step away to finish what you're there for. Got the ice cream, brownie cheesecake. I don't know what brand it was. It's fairly well known, at least in my mind. Never had it. And head right back out. And it was pretty much in and out. Go to the bike rack, and right away I see a wrapper, like a snack cake that still has like a bite in it left. They didn't finish it, and it's resting right. It's right there at my bike, at the pedal. So I'm pretty, like I said, I'm pretty aware of my surroundings. I'm already aware of who is around me before I even notice the wrapper. Which there's two people. There's a worker from the store, is getting cards, doing stuff with cards. He may have been doing something with a trash can. I don't know. He was there because he wasn't moving. He was standing kind of around the corner on a post, big post. Calm. Anyway, and a younger kid to the other side of me. Teen. And I see the wrapper. And I know what's up here. And it bothers me. Somebody was checking it out. Gonna take it. I mean, we're not talking like some rare bike or anything. Under $100. Just give me a round. Walmart special. It's just the idea that it's locked up and you were here effing around and you leave this wrapper with bite open and exposed. I guess you were hoping I was going to step on it, or I don't know. I'm being vocal with my thoughts now about the world and what's going on and what people are allowing to take place. And I'm a little upset, I'm a little irate with the world. And then I noticed the worker, I don't know what it was I said. 'Cause you gotta remember, I'm always on this. I'm in a different frame of mind, perspective for where I'm coming from when I'm experiencing anything. When it comes to this earthly plane versus this, I'm going to get back to it, the intelligence. This, it upset me. And then when the guy that worked there, he's like nodding his head, and it's because I know I'm the person that's like out of place, out of character. Like the net that just kind of came along all of a sudden, and now I just at that point decided to make it be public and let any and everybody hear. That somebody would take something of somebody else's that isn't theirs. Anyway, he's shaking his head briefly, like, like, oh, this guy's a net. And so I'm like, then I bring him into my sights, and so that he knows hi over there. I didn't say that. I was like, because he's nodding his head and stuff, and he's wearing the mask, which I took off as soon as I stepped through the threshold of the store. But he's got his mask on, and so I said, and you over there, And I'm looking at him, and he knew it was me looking at him. I said, are you getting enough CO2? Shaking his head, nodding his head. Are you getting enough? It'll do that to you. Now, I could sit there and I could have stood there and explained, well, what are you talking about? And I could do that to you, but I shouldn't have to. Breathing in something you're not accustomed to breathing in is going to have a reaction. Anyway, that happened. And there comes a need to share that. The whole world just seems on edge. I don't know. Comes and goes. No matter what, I am perpetually focused on this intelligence, which I again will reiterate is aware of you. It knows every position of every pebble of sand from its inception date, when it became that pebble. Because originally it was something bigger piece. It knows. It has that knowledge. It knows everything about you. Everything you think, everything you've thought. The bad, the good. How does that make you feel? How do you, and if you could accept that, how do you think you would fit? What would you bring into their world? Coming from this world. Like the knowing everything. Right down to your thoughts. Let me say this. Do you think then, if there were such a thing, do they sit around in the family room and play back your life? Anybody's life. Everybody's life. Do you think they do that? Because they could, because they have that ability. They carry that scope of knowledge with them. They live with it. They breathe it. They exist as all this knowledge. Yeah, I'll do a bunch the first part. This is the continued to get those pictures of music that are playing or showing, flashing on the screen up there from Pandora Snapshots. I'm listening to Evolve. By the way, right there, just popped up. I'm listening to Evolve. I have it on loop, and I've had it on loop since I had to pause the previous stream. And I need to swallow up some aqua. So the government doesn't know what this intelligence is. They don't. I don't spend my thoughts contemplating that possibility. I'm not going to deny it for anybody else. We all are free to will what we will. And I'm all about dreaming reality. Everybody's dreaming reality. I'm just not on that page. I think the government wants to, though, wholeheartedly. I think the government is fully aware, at least that aspect of the government that's been aware for many, 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 many years. Past a long generation. But they don't know what it is. What does that mean then? Like, say something like Roswell. The UFO that is said to have crashed in 1947, July, early July, Mexico, out in the desert. I'm very aware of the whole Roswell scene. And for quite a number of years. Decades. In the 90s. And even before, because the 70s, there's In Search Of, the television show, which I watched religiously, came on in the evening, 7:30. That's when I remember coming on. Oh yeah, I watched that. Unless I absolutely couldn't be near TV, and unable to, I watched Leonard Nimoy, In Search Of. And there is an episode in the series of episodes where Roswell is talked about. You get to see Marcel talking about it. That was on In Search Of. So that would have been the first time most of us heard about it, if we were watching that series. And depending on how old you were. Again, I was a little boy. 10 years old, 11. I'm not sure what year that episode aired. I'm trying to think how many episodes there are. I think there's like 6 seasons. I'm not sure. I don't want to even get lost on that. Other than to say Roswell's been around in the public stream of consciousness for decades, many decades. a lot longer, I think, than many people are aware of. Again, that show, 30 minutes. Here and gone, and then the next episode, and the next episode. For me, I was already into reading books on the phenomena. Jacques Vallée. Whatever books were written in the 70s and pre-70s and were on paperback. I had probably 20 to sort through. Flying Saucers Are Real, that was one paperback book. I had a healthy collection of books to read on the phenomena. J. Allen Hynek. So that episode clearly stuck with me because I had already a strong leaning in that particular aspect of the search. I think because as the years have gone by and the things we have learned as a species about our surroundings, our place in it, at that point, because everything's changing, everything's constantly changing, but at this point it's showing us so many things, so many new ways of realizing old ideas that already are. What I'm trying to say, I think, is that I've moved more, my mind has moved more into this non-material plane. My thoughts are taking place more on that level than they are on this physical earthly plane of going-ons. Roswell is, if you follow the storyline, is a physical object, unknown, or is it some classified project that has been the storyline? Is it otherworldly or is it worldly? If it's otherworldly, then it's physical. What does that mean then? How does that come into this non-material stream of thought I find myself occupied with? Well, I think to start off, if it is a physical some sort, let's put it that way, somehow it's something. I don't think that it necessarily crashed, and I've been on that page for quite some time. I don't think it crashed. I don't think it was brought down. Some people say that that's how it came down. Interference. radar. Yeah, remember there was a lot going on out in the deserts in that area. Nuclear. I don't think it was an accident. I think it was intentional. It was allowed to take place. It needed to take place. It was time. Here's a bone. I'm gonna toss you a bone. You've been good. Here's a bone. Let's see what comes of it. Am I straying too far off what actually has and is taking place? Too far-fetched? Itch there. Keep in mind, I have been presenting an intelligence that is aware of you and everyone and everything to a level beyond it's like one of those things like, well, why would you even want to know that kind of knowledge? But they do have that knowledge. It's that intimate. And it's not like in 60 years, 70 years, 73 years that they just got to that point. It took them to get from being where they were crashing, they were being shot out of the sky or jammed with our technology of the day and radars, and brought them down. And it may not even have been intentional, but many were led to believe that as a possibility of what has taken place. This technology didn't go from crashing to it now knows the position of every pebble on every beach from its inception as that pebble. It has watched it grow from a baby pebble to an old, ancient, wise pebble. It's been around as a pebble for quite some time. It knows its history. That's the kind of, if you want to call it technology, that is here right now. It's always been here. That's how it knows the history of every pebble, every cell, every atom. How? How does it know? The only way that I can come to terms with, as far as an answer to that question, I think that it comes in waves. Part of it comes with the realization that it's always been here. Always. There was never ever a moment where it hasn't. There's no beginning, and there's no end. Not for this. This is outside our realm, our domain, whatever you want to call this, prison, planet. On lockdown. So, to ask, how did it get to be what it is? To know everything, right down to every pebble, every atom, so intimately as to know its birth. The best answer is I think that the intelligence says if you were to ask it, that the answer they would provide, the only answer that they can provide, is there is no answer to that question. You're looking for something that you can never find an answer to. It's like asking, how did this begin? How did the universe begin? The Big Bang. What happened before the Big Bang? And any answer that could be postulated, even proven, would always be left open with what came before that. There's no way to get around that. I'd like to see someone, something, anyone, anything show that answer, provide that answer, share that answer. If they found it, please do. Pray tell. That's the answer I think they have to give. It's the only answer. It's like, you don't need to ask anything pertaining to that question, because it would be met with silence. Why now? Why right now? Would I be here right now sharing this, having this need to be here and talk about such possibility? I'm very adamant. And I'm willing to talk with anybody. Share thoughts, conversate, learn from each other. One-on-one works best for me. the last counselor, therapist that I spent time with regularly, weekly, once a week, an hour. This was years ago, back in the 90s. So it's been a while. Great man, great conversations, and but the funds at that time, back in the 90s, were all being shifted around and diverted and changing, and they were no longer going to be funding one-on-one, where I would just go into the room with a trained professional and talk. They decided they were only going to have group therapy sessions, and that just wasn't going to work for me. And I let him know when he shared what was going on, and he said that he had already put that in with his paperwork concerning anything to do with me. That he didn't recommend that for me. It wouldn't do anything for me. Because he got it. It wouldn't have. I'm trying to get to this point where I can share this possibility. Back in the 90s. And at that time, I was basing it on, it was very heavy into the UFOs. I was bringing that up and just firing away with what at that time was known, and the various people that were coming forward, pilots, and just people from all walks of life, sharing testimony. And I'm like hearing it, reading it, and my mind's saying, if this is happening, this is world changing stuff. And back in the 90s, there's always crap going on in the world, negativity, people just doing bad stuff. Anyway, I make it very clear, my stance on the whole thing. I don't want to participate in this world, this civilization that we're creating. What's the point? What's the purpose? Where is it leading to? If this is taking place, there's something here. And you've got high prominent people that are addressing it. Why are we not all talking about it? Why are we seeing them? Why are they showing themselves? That's the biggest story ever. At this point in time, everything that has led up to something like that. I haven't talked to any therapists or anybody in that profession in many, many years. I don't know what to say to them. What would I... The last person, although I did talk to somebody when I had some surgeries, because I had clotting action going on back in 2017, I believe. Yeah. Anyway, I had a couple sessions with the person that there to, I don't know what word they use these days. They don't call it mental health. I wanted to talk with them. I wanted to talk about the Mandela effect with them. I wanted to get their take on it at that time in 2017. I wanted to see how they would react to how I was taking it. I was coming at it from a person who had accepted, embraced that reality is changing. There's glitches, weird shifts, whatever you want to call them, are taking place. Not all of it. I don't dwell on the Mandela effect. I don't spend time looking at Mandela effect videos or any of that kind of thing, and I haven't for quite some time. I think that what we were supposed to get out of that, it's kind of like it happens early on, and you get it or you don't. And it's not that it's good or bad. It's like with all is forgiven, but there's that strain of the path, and you're almost there, but yeah, it was interesting talking with the gentleman, and he was had come from overseas, somewhere in Asia. So he had a different background, different exposure to his growing up. He wouldn't have most likely been very aware of a lot of what the changes that were taking place, that were focused, directed. If you were deep in the Amazons, you wouldn't know any of these changes. Wherever you were from, you're going to know your surroundings from there, and whatever was playing, whatever your culture was. Some he seemed to relate to, and he seemed to understand why I wanted to know. There was enough reason he could see for someone to want to know more about it, because there's just some things that it's like, well, that is kind of odd, because I always thought this, but you're saying it's this. Again, I don't spend much time. I'm already trying to remember why I even brought up the Mandela effect. It definitely has played a part in all of this. It led me on a path that eventually led me to this music interaction, to where I am today, interacting, always growing. Everything is always growing. Wow. I believe I've already been here an hour. I didn't turn the AC on this time because I told myself I'm going to use that as the timer going off. I can hit the stop button when I start dripping, which I don't think is going to be too much longer from now. So I need to wind down already. That's okay, because it compels me to do another one. I did want to continue this one because I was in my thought, and then the pain in my foot, the big toe right there at the ball. I don't know if it might be gout. It could be. It sounds kind of similar to that when I've looked it up. That's like a royal disease. It was known as a disease of royalty because people of royalty tended to come down with it. And those people, what I read is accurate. They were saying that like the diets and things they did would incite such a thing as gout. But like drinking, heavy drinking, lots of ale. I don't drink, so I don't fall into that boat. I mean, I drink like a beer in a year once, and sometimes not even that. It's not really ever on my in my sights. So alcohol and lots of meat, red meat, lots of meat. Which again, I'm not eating lots of red meat. So I don't know. I mean, there's some other things that those type of people were partaking more of because they had the means to. They were royal. And again, it may not even be that, but it sounds very similar from what I've read, and it can be very, very painful. And I was standing, and I've been on my foot today. I took my bike out earlier to a grocery store, different grocery store earlier in the morning, to purchase water, a flat of water in the bottles. So that was a trek, a journey on my bike. And that was a little bit of a distance too. I traveled a little farther than I normally would because it was on sale. Saved a little bit of money. And I also had to pick up a few things while I'm there. I didn't want to waste the time. So I was loaded down and it was heavy. Then I went and got ice cream. Anyway, I've been out and on my foot, and it hurt and was hurting. I even mentioned it to my mom because I can't bend the toe. And I mentioned I might be down for a few days. Who knows? A week? It's come and gone in the past. And I'm glad I got my cane. I got my big walking stick if need be. I might keep going with the ET and the UFOs and the money pie. All of it. It's all connected. I mean, I could spend the whole stream just, again, talking about current events and all the things that are taking place in the world that I'm sure you're aware of. I do highly recommend that one broadens their horizon and doesn't limit themselves to certain media outlets. It's all about being fair. And if you're not doing that to yourself, if you're not being fair to yourself, it says something. And you lost and they won. Because there's a bigger picture out there. reality is a lot more intense. I think people are realizing how intense it. Obviously, they are. Everything that's going on, it's intense. And again, on edge, stress even. That's nothing compared to all this other energy that's out there. It's always hard to leave when I talk to UFOs and the government, because I always want to be clear. I think, again, they don't know. They want to know. I think they're looking. I mean, they're watching. They're listening to all the things that people are saying. And I say that, and I put that out there as a sort of foreshadowing, no, a forewarning to be careful what you say. I would like to think that, and maybe I should just say it and put it out there for the government. If they are looking, watching to that extreme, thinking that they're going to take the information, maybe even a person, and thinking that they'll gain mastery somehow, it'll never happen. And I would like to hope that you know that by now. You've had enough experience trying over the decades. There's a certain mindset that your president Eisenhower, he put it right out there, and he didn't mince words. The military-industrial complex is on a mission. It would be naive to think that such an organization views E.T., the revelation of E.T., not alone. You are not alone. They're here right now. That they see that as information that needs to be immediately disseminated to the public. Hell no. That's not even on the list of to-do. The military-industrial complex. What do you think they would use such a technology for? And what do you think they would do if they knew such a technology existed, such an intelligence? What do you think they would do? And they didn't have it. They are watching. Nothing in comparison to what this intelligence is doing. This intelligence knows them too. Knows everything. Y'all been naughty, if not nasty. You know who you are. This intelligence is here right now. Always has been. It isn't going anywhere. It can't go anywhere. This is all it has, all it knows, so to speak. It's home. We're the newcomer, not it. Think about it. And be willing And smile. Got to smile. See ya.